Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Super Cross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited today. I've got with us Quilen Blackwell and Hannah Blackwell. They are, as you might suspect, married, and they are co-founders of Southside Blooms, an amazing nonprofit in the Chicago area. Quilen, Hannah, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Really excited to be a part of this.
Well, we're thrilled to have you and grateful that you'd make time for us. Uh, Hannah, I wonder if you want to get started for us. Just take a minute and give us a quick overview of Southside Blooms.
Great. Yeah, Southside Blooms is a farm-to-base florist. So we grow a lot of our own flowers in the community in vacant lots that we have turned from unused land to off-grid, solar-powered flower farms. Those flowers are then brought into our headquarters, the flower shop, which I'm at now, and that is then turned into beautiful arrangements. And all of this is to employ youth in the floral industry, giving opportunities to local youth and allowing them to learn a new skill.
It's really a phenomenal thing that you're doing. How did you get started, Quilen, with this project? This is so fascinating.
Yeah, so it really started back in 2011. That was back when Hannah and I, we didn't know each other at the time, but we both said yes to the Lord, and took, basically moved to. I moved to Chicago. Hannah moved to the west side of Chicago. I came here for ministry school, and while I was in ministry school, I started getting to know the relationships with the youth here on the south side of Chicago by tutoring at a local high school here. And for me, like that was my first time really coming face to face with hardcore, inner city poverty. And at that point, I really just sort of felt like, my faith was being, put to a test of like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to, continue living this pretty comfortable life that I lived, in Madison and, going to ministry school, growing up in a pretty affluent middle class family? Or am I going to, do the hard thing and, give up my life basically for the good people of inner city America? So, I chose a latter. And then, out of that started Chicago Eco House, which is the parent organization of Southside Blooms. And me and Hannah actually met because of this work. We're set up on a blind date, actually, because we both had, mutual friends who thought that we would be a good fit. The rest is history from there.
It's a really an inspiring story, and I'm grateful that you'd share that. As you think a little bit, Hannah, about how you connected with this, what was your perspective? You come at this from a little different place. How did you get connected?
So I was living in Chicago since 2005, and I had actually come here when I was 15 for a youth trip. We were on the south side of Chicago around the time of the infamous Robert Taylor homes, and I was really shook by the conditions that youth my age were living in. I could not believe in my country we had this kind of poverty and youth that were kind of living like this. So I kind of carried that with me. And amazingly enough, one of our farms is only a mile away from that same location. I pass it all the time. So that was really impactful to me. It was a mission trip that my dad led, who was a youth pastor. So I came to Chicago in 2005. Actually, it was just kind of for fun, but I always had that experience kind of in the back of my head. And I did a lot of work I worked at a church, and I did a homeless ministry, and I was a hairdresser at the time, but I really felt like I was, being a hypocrite if I would really say I cared, but I was still keeping myself at a distance. And I was volunteering since I moved I was volunteering in the West Side at a homeless shelter. And I remember one day just leaving and feeling like, how can I say, hey, get home safe to the kids I was tutoring, while I was going, leaving and going into a safe neighborhood. And I had another experience. I was sitting by an older gentleman on the bus, African American gentleman, and he said, you live on the north side, don't you? And I did. And it's a very segregated city. The north side is predominantly white, southwest side predominantly African American. And I just felt like if I really cared about the gentrification, or the segregation of the city, then I would need to put my money where my mouth was and move in. And so I did move to the west side, and it was just an incredible experience. The families that I lived in the same building have really opened up their lives and honestly their hearts to me and the couple women that I moved there with. And I just felt like this was the best way for me to understand just at a relational level. But at the same time, I felt like the couple things we were doing, helping the kids with homework and trying to expose them to different things, wasn't enough. There was so much poverty and there was such joblessness. And I felt like, what am I going to do? Like the little that I'm going to be able to contribute, I'm not going to make the difference that I really long to see. So when I met Quilen, a couple of things that I had tried to start had fallen through. I tried to buy a house. It was going to be like a community house. That fell through. People I was doing that work with moved away. And I was just at a point where I wasn't going to give up, but I didn't know what the next steps were. And I really connected with Quilen's vision, which was, to really, heal the hood. And that was just my heart as well. And I just saw this passion in him and this faith that God really could do that work that I just so connected with. And I felt like it really mirrored my own desires for, the inner city and also the faith in God. And so it was a quick dating. It was 6 months we were engaged. 7 months later, we were married. We bought a house and a couple months later moved to the middle of Inglewood to start everything out of our home because that's all we had at the time. And the rest is history.
Wow. It's such a fun story. I'm impressed by the way these things came together, how you have worked together ever since. Quilen, I wonder if you would take a minute and just talk a little bit about how your desire to support and help the youth has grown to sort of add in this environmental stewardship component. How did that come about, and how do you pair those two social benefits?
Yeah, so that's really at the heart of our mission. Our mission is to use sustainability to alleviate poverty. And, like kind of going back to when I first came here, for those of you who aren't familiar with Chicago, Chicago has a massive, and I mean massive, urban blight issue. Chicago has about 30 to 40,000 vacant lots across the city, with most of those being concentrated on the southwest sides and, black neighborhoods. So it just sort of seemed that, if we're really going to do something to benefit the youth, we need to also do something that simultaneously was going to reshape the environments that they're living in and working in. Everyone knows about the violence, the crime, the gangs. So a lot of that has to do also just with the high level of just urban decay in our neighborhoods. So when we were thinking about that, we wanted to do it in a way that was environmentally sustainable, right? So we saw an opportunity where we could, in our minds, really, remake the hood and remake our communities in a way that is, an ecological, paradise, hopefully. So it's very important to us to take over vacant land, turn it into solar powered flower farms, farm in a way that's regeneratively and sustainable, and doing things the way Mother Nature would want. And at the same time, it's a way to really bring in a group of young people, an entire generation of people who've largely been neglected by the larger sort of sustainability movement into the fold, right? Because for our youth and their families, they're at the tip of the spear in many ways. Like they're really being able to see how sustainability is more than just a policy issue, how it's really transforming their neighborhoods each and every day. They're working with solar panels every day to power our farms. We have rainwater catchment systems, so they're seeing how we can use rainwater irrigation to irrigate our crops, instead of drawing water from Lake Michigan, which everyone knows is a precious resource with the Great Lakes. That we are, we compost. We have a full cyclical system where the flower scraps, the flower clippings in the flower shop go back to the farm, and then that turns into compost, which we then use as a natural fertilizer to grow our flowers. So and it's really bringing life back to our community. So not only are our youth really getting their lives preserved and helping for them to prosper, but they're learning the very important lesson that when you work with Mother Nature instead of against her, then she has a way of yielding her produce. She has a yielding her abundance and meeting the material needs of people. And that's what our youth and our communities are experiencing firsthand here through Southside Blooms.
Oh, that's great. Hannah, I wonder if you'd take a minute and just walk us through a little bit of the operation. So how do you grow? What do you grow? How do you sell it? How do you market it? How do you harvest it? There's a lot there, and maybe you can give us a taste of how the kids are involved and how they benefit from this whole operation.
Yeah, so it was definitely our goal to incorporate them from the very beginning in all aspects of the work. So not just giving them kind of the menial jobs, really incorporating them in everything that we do. So we divide the teams into two. We have a farm team and we have a flower shop team. So right now, our summer flowers are just now just really popping. We've been having some really hot days. So our farm team is kind of our morning crew. So they start at 8 in the morning and they're going out to several farms. So the great thing about being off grid is we're able to farm on any land that is offered to us or that we can acquire. So we have farms kind of spread out all over throughout the south and west sides. And this is great because we can turn any vacant lot then into a productive space. So their job, the farm team's job, is to go farm to farm to check what is needed. So whether it's pulling water from the rainwater irrigation to irrigate the crop, whether it's harvesting, we do everything hand weeded so that we are not using any pesticides. Or herbicides. As Quilen said, we use our own compost. So the farm team really is the heartbeat of the operation because they are bringing in these locally grown, chemical-free flowers for Chicagoans to enjoy. The other really great thing is there are flowers that don't ship well. So 80% of all the flowers that you see are coming from Central and South America, which means that's shipped, thousands of miles. There's that carbon footprint. But it's also the fumigation that has to happen when you're bringing that product into the country. So it's just a lot of chemicals that are being used. They're finding that those chemicals are showing up in florists' bloodstream and, in growers' bloodstream. So we really love that we're offering something that is really chemical free, that's really earth friendly. And we are showing the youth how to do it. So they don't know any other way. This is what they know, how to grow. So they're doing stuff on the farm, bringing in these beautiful flowers. We just had a huge, hundreds of lilies came from our farm, huge flush of lilies. We just are having some of our first sunflowers, which are beautiful. They have this creamy cheesecake, I like to call them, like petals with a kind of a golden yellow center. So they're really unique. They're something that you can't find anywhere else. We have these beautiful bachelor buttons, this bright blue. This year we're able to grow our own baby's breath, which is so awesome. There's actually pink baby's breath that, elsewhere you might find it dyed pink, but this is grown naturally pink. We've been planting a lot of perennials and other things that can come up, just year to year, which is great. So those are brought into the flower shop. And then we have our flower shop team. So these are the youth that come and learn how to design. So we have different levels of designing. The first level, and our youth who the first day that they're hired, they can do a simple bouquet. And so we teach them that design first, and then we train them on events. So they're doing all sorts of centerpieces and bud vases. And lastly, we train sort of our top tier youth on a lot of the wedding work. So we do have some youth that are trained in bridal bouquets, which is kind of creme de la creme. You make the bridal bouquet, you're kind of the top dog. So we have two youth that will make our bridal bouquets and, are very proud of the skills that they have. We've seen their confidence grow. We've seen their skills grow, and just the creativity that's within them just really coming out, just so beautiful. So we are completely foam free. Floral foam is very prevalent in a lot of flower shops. It's a microplastic and it's terrible for the environment. So we have never taught our youth how to use that. They actually don't know how to use it. They don't even know what it looks like. We use compostable and reusable mechanics, and we really get creative with what we have. Everything then is composted that is brought back. We also donate a lot of arrangements post events and weddings to a local low-income senior housing center that's right on me and Quilen's block, because we live right here in the neighborhood. So we're a part of the life beat, the heartbeat of our area here. So right now I have my head youth florist. He's actually heading up the group in the other room since I'm doing this. So they're getting vases taped for an event that we have 82 centerpieces that we'll be making starting tomorrow. So it's really awesome. One of the things I love is that when I was on the West Side, I was doing some things where I was taking some youth downtown and showing them some different things in the city, hoping to spark something in them that would maybe motivate them to, push themselves to think bigger than just the neighborhood. But what I felt like after that experience was that I was showing them what was out there, but I was not giving them a way to get there. And what I love about the work we're doing is that we're taking youth all over the city to all these amazing places, venues, all of these, wonderful places in their city, but we're giving them a chance to do it as a participant. So they're coming, they have a role, they have a place there. So it's not just show and tell and taking them back to where they came from. It's really saying like, hey, you belong here. This is your place, you're contributing. And they love that. They love doing weddings. They love doing events and doing these beautiful pieces and really giving that as a gift to their city. It's just been wonderful to see.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, listen, everybody, we're here with Hannah and Quilen Blackwell, and we're talking about their operation with Southside Blooms. And great story, but we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to them both about their superpowers. So stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Raise up to $5 million or $75 million annually with regulated investment crowdfunding. Convert customers into investors and expand your reach. Get expert guidance from Crowdfund Holdings innovators to help ensure success. Contact us at solutions@crowdfund.holdings.
Want to learn from the world's great changemakers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here today with Quilen and Hannah Blackwell. They are the co-founders of Southside Blooms, an amazing nonprofit operation that is employing youth in troubled, difficult neighborhoods in the Chicago area. We're going to talk to them now about their superpowers, so stick around. You don't want to miss this. Quilen, I want to start with you. You weren't originally from Chicago, and yet you've devoted yourself to this community. I find that extremely noble and exciting. What is your superpower?
Yeah, so I would say that my primary superpower, it may seem a little corny, but it's true. I would say it's love. The Bible kind of talks about he who's forgiven much loves much. And that's definitely how I feel. Like, I've definitely, for those of you who obviously don't know me, I've had 7 or 8 failed businesses before I started this one. I definitely had a pretty messy life in my 20s, and definitely would be the seem to be the least qualified person to be doing what I'm doing today. And like at the end of the day, the thing that really got me to do this kind of work was really love for for my people, and for someone who's really a total stranger, right? Like I'm not from Chicago, I'm not from the inner city. I totally could have done something else, but like there's just something when I was tutoring that broke in me. Like I just really just developed a great and enduring love for the people here, and I really did have to become like the people here in order to do this work. So when I had to sell everything I had. I was kind of living from room to room. I was living out my Jeep at the time because it was like really hard to make a living. Being totally new at Chicago and without having any community here or any family here. So those first few years were extremely rough. And what got me through that was really just love for the people here, as well as love for God. So I would say like that at the end of the day is really my superpower, because like I tell people, like I would die for my cause. Like I would die for this work. This is more than just a job. This is more than just a career choice. This really is my life's work, and I mean that quite literally. Like there's been moments where we've had close calls with shootings in our neighborhood, or me and Hannah would go on a walk, and like gunshots would ring out, and so we like personally, I am prepared to die, if that's what it takes to do this work. And when you get to that place, you're not afraid anymore, and it allows you to take risks that you otherwise wouldn't take. Allows you to forego things that you think you need in your life. Like maybe health insurance, benefits, possessions. Like things become quite clear in terms of your priorities when you make that decision about the things that you're willing to give your life for.
That's great. Hannah, what's your superpower?
So I would say mine's probably similar to Keelan's, but I would say my superpower is faith. I, never once failed to believe that we could make a difference. And, the work has been hard. Like Keelan said, there have been, shootings on the block. Right after we passed by, we have 3 small children. There was a time when I heard a machine gun a block away, and I had to grab them and run as fast as I could into the house. I'd never heard that and that close. But I just never, I've never lost faith that we can make a difference, and that, the ghetto as we know it can be a thing of the past. And years into this work, we were still scraping by financially, and just saw a lot of miracles happen where we just were provided for, and I never felt fear. I never wavered in wanting to quit or leave or do something different. I just felt like my faith really was at the core of who I am as a person, and just believed that, God could really do a great work here. And I just had to, take another step forward and to see what would happen.
Oh, that's great. Quilen, can you give us one quick tip to develop love?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a great question. I would say like what worked for me was really just I had a professor back in college who kind of challenged me and encouraged me to think about, hey, when it's all when you're on your deathbed, like what do you really want your contribution to be? Because I was a history major, and he's a history professor, and he basically just summed it up as like your life is really just going to be measured in the way that you either help people or hurt people. And like that really just struck a chord for me, and it really just changed my paradigm of what was important. And then it just kind of got me going down the road of, okay, well, like who do I really care about, and what do I really care about? And not really looking at my life in terms of like, okay, I get married, I get a house, have kids, get them to college, like like that. And that total sort of mainstream thinking kind of blew up, because it really didn't matter. When you think about the history books you read, no matter who your great historical heroes are, you don't really think about the fact of, okay, well, what kind of horse and buggy were they, going around in, or,
Yeah.
what kind of clothes were they wearing? It
That's
really
right.
is like, well, what problems did they solve, or what problems did they create?
Yeah.
And so that made
That's
it a lot
great.
easier.
That's great. So, Quilen, Hannah, thank you so much for being with us. We want to wish you every success. What's the website for Southside Blooms?
Yeah, they can go to southsideblooms.com. Everything is there. We have an about page that talks more about our story.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to wish you every success.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
thank you
much.
so much.
All righty, let's do some good.